Si ahamba kukani en cuencos, 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 si ahamba kukani en cuencos. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of God. Come on. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching. I don't hear ya. And I know y'all know this song. We are marching. We are marching. We are marching in the light of God. We are singing in the light of God. We are singing in the light of God, y'all. We are singing. We are singing. We are here in the light of have peace because the light of God. We 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 have peace. We have peace. Oh, we have peace because of the light of God. I don't hear y'all. We have peace. Let's just say amen. Is that better? Amen. 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 Can y'all sing that? Come on, y'all. You can sing amen. Just amen. 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 One more time. Amen. Just I see some of y'all that say you're singers that aren't singing. Amen. 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 We are shining. We are shining in the light of God. 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 We are shining, oh, we are shining in the light of God. We are shining, we are shining, we are shining in the light of God. Last time, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching. We are marching. We are marching. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of God. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is the 188th what? Convocation. Woo! And these are wow.
justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. For all who share life, a place at the table, for visiting the roles, deciding the bread, which wisdom and grace peace, divided for power, for health and life, systems and fair, and God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. For those who neglect a place at the table, rejoice to be heard, parting the share with hands of a child and hands that are wrinkled, for those who neglect the right to belong, and God will delight, and we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. Can we do the refrain again? And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy.
Ooh. Thank you. Where did our drummers go? We want to give a big thanks to you.
Right here. Our drummers are right
Yes.
here.
Woo. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, yes. Thank you. Woo. Thank you. You all may be seated. So as Dean Montez said, welcome to Union Theological Seminary's 188th Convocation. And I'm going to begin today the way we begin every major event and gathering we have at Union, and that is with our land acknowledgement. Union Theological Seminary acknowledges and honors the land upon which this building stands, this land, as the homeland and territory of the Lenape people, as well as the habitat and dwelling place of the many beings they have been in relationship with. We give thanks to all the spirits of nature, and we pay respect to the Lenape people, past, present, and in the future. And we express support for the flourishing of indigenous peoples and lifeways within this place and everywhere. So what a beautiful day it is outside, and it is a beautiful day in so many ways that reach beyond and include the weather and the sun and the flowers, all the beautiful trees that are forming a canopy over our campus. We have so much to celebrate being here together as Union starts a new year of theological education in the city of New York at 3041 Broadway and many, many other places. I want to start our gathering here by welcoming especially our amazing and esteemed faculty who are with us. Would you all please stand so we can applaud you? So you can sit down. I want to welcome Sarah back from sabbatical, and you'll hear more from our dean introducing you to Simran, Willie, and Christopher, our 3 new faculty members. So happy that you are here with us. I also want to thank, looking across this room, our amazing staff and administration that at all levels work to keep this place going every day throughout the summer when there's very few people here, and now they rush to work at breakneck speed as we begin the year. And we have many new staff members, some of whom you'll be hearing from in today's event. I want to welcome Rhonda Joy McLean. Rhonda Joy is the Vice Chair of Union's Board of Trustees, and she is representing the board here today along with Nancy Jennings, also from our board. Nancy, stand up so we can see you. There we go. And Nancy is the chair of our Educational Policy Committee, so it's wonderful to have the board with us today. I also want to welcome all the returning students who are coming back for your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, I don't know. We won't go into all of that, but welcome back, welcome back. And most importantly, I want to welcome the incoming students who are starting in the fall of 2024 and beginning their journey now. Welcome to you. Stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Hurry. Woo. So glad you're here. And as I welcome everyone, and there's more people to welcome, I just want to pause and also just say a big thank you to all of the families and friends that put so much energy and time into getting this class here. We hold them in our hearts and hold much gratitude for all of the work that goes unseen for days like this to happen. A lot has happened over the summer, and we have a capacious class of new learners who are with us today. In fact, we have the largest class that Union has probably had in 5 decades. It's amazing, amazing. And just listen to the breadth of this. So we have a new class of MDiv students, of MAR students, of STM students, and of PhD students. So welcome to all of those students in those degree programs. And we also have students who are starting brand new programs here that we have launched alongside our friends at NYTS, a new Doctorate of Ministry program. Amazing, just starting. We have an amazing program entitled the Masters of Professional Studies that is offered on what we are referring to as the Northern Campus, which is Singh, and Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, our students at Union. Yes. And we also welcome for the first time a whole class of part-time MDiv students. And then in addition to all of this, we welcome a wide range of lifelong learners who are here starting this year in programs like Encore or our certificate programs. And the list of lifelong learners that exist as Union students and are part of this learning community expand not only across New York, but around the country. All in all, we are welcoming what comes close to being almost 150 of you when you are all put together. Amazing, amazing. We are moving and changing and growing and thriving. And in the midst of all of that, we recognize that there is so much work for us to do together, okay. I am the president and I can't say this word. Collaboratively this year and in the years ahead as we study and learn together. As you can see, we're also a campus in the midst of physical change. You had to walk through the new student center that is springing to life with fresh food and vending machines. Hopefully in 3 weeks we'll see that up and running. You can see right down below us the beginnings of what will become a new refectory, a new dining hall, which will have attached to it a large kitchen and a whole, this is the best news of all, a whole stack of bathrooms. I mean, like, is anyone who knows Union not thankful for bathrooms? We are doing so much here. We are doing things that are very serious. We're doing profound work here at Union, advancing a theological education that seeks to form leaders capacitated for world-transforming work. But as we heard in the drums today and the laughter that we are sharing, it is also joyful work. For as you study and learn and work together, new lifelong friendships are abounding and the joy of community expands. And most important, as we begin this year, it is expansively imaginative work. As this whole community together pushes with all of its might against the edges of a world that is in pain and racked by violence, and in boxes of imagination that don't allow us to move beyond, we are here together to envision new worlds of peace, of justice, of care, and of love abundant. I am so very, very proud to be the president of this incredible historic institution. And in that vein, I say, let the year begin. Yes. I'd now like to ask to come forward Rhonda Joy McLean, who will read to you a revised, always revising, version of the original preamble that was written at the founding of this institution in 1836.
Good afternoon. I'm Rhonda Joy, in case you didn't know. So on behalf of Clifford Hudson, the chair of your Board of Trustees, Nancy Jennings, who's the beautiful, amazing, brilliant woman here, there is a full There's a full panoply of trustees from all over the United States. Many of us are alums, many of us are not. We consider it a privilege and responsibility and joy to serve as your trustees, and I welcome you all here on their behalf. Now, in 1836, as you might imagine, they weren't really thinking about me, and they weren't really thinking about President Jones and a few other people in here. So let me just say, the revised preamble as it currently stands shall say, a number of leaders in the city of New York and Brooklyn, being deeply impressed by the claims of the world upon the faithful, commit to furnish a competent supply of well-educated leaders. Impressed also with the inadequacy of all existing means for this purpose, and believing that large cities furnish many particular advantages for conducting theological education, resolve unanimously in humble dependence on the grace of God to attempt the establishment of a theological seminary in the city of New York. The founders hope and expect to call forth from this flourishing city genius, talent, and world-transforming zeal. It is the desire of the founders to provide a theological seminary in the midst of the greatest and fastest growing community in America, a place around which all people who desire to live in freedom and to stand aloof from the extremes of doctrinal speculations and ecclesiastical domination may cordially and affectionately rally.
Those words sound very, in one way, old-fashioned, but to imagine that almost 200 years ago our founders sat down and dreamed up that? Wow, this is the place that you have come to. I made a mistake in my welcoming remarks in that I left out a degree that is in the middle of being a degree that we've had forever and a new degree, and that is our MASJ students. So yes, how could I forget that? Woo, woo, woo! So big apologies. Oh, okay, now we get down to the ritual part. I would ask those of you who are entering Union Theological Seminary in a new program or standing program, but you are starting something today, to rise and read your declaration of intention. In gratitude for Union Theological Seminary's heritage of freedom. Thank you. You can see now. Thank you. And now, all of us who are returning members, we receive these words and say, with thanksgiving for those who have led you here and for your faithful response to their call, we pledge to support you as you join this community in its mission. Now we all who are returning make a pledge to you. And we begin, those of us who are returning, in gratitude for Union Theological Seminary's heritage of freedom and commitment, as first declared by the founders of the preamble to the Constitution, we pledge to help the Union recognize and carry out its mission in our time. And the incoming class respond with thanksgiving to those who Thank you. Okay. So now we begin with our sacred text.
I sought the Lord, and God answered me, and delivered me from all my fears. Los que buscan su ayuda estarán radiantes de alegría. Ninguna sombra de vergüenza les oscurecerá el rostro. 이 비천한 몸도 부르짖었더니 주님께서 들으시고 온갖 재난에서 구원해 주셨다. Pues el ángel del Señor es un guardián, rodea y defiende a todos los que le temen. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Happy are those who take refuge in God.
Now it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce you the 3 new faculty members who have joined our union community this year. And you will get to hear from each of them briefly. So I asked them to speak about their life and their work so you can get to know them a little better as they lay down their roots here to revisit this year's orientation theme and find a community of practice here at Union. First, Dr. Simran Singh. He is the Assistant Professor of Interreligious Histories. Dr. Singh was Executive Director for the Religion and Society Program at the Aston Institute and a Soros Equality Fellow with the Open Society Foundation. He is the author of the national bestseller, The Light We Give, How Sikh Wisdom Can Transform Your Life, as well as the award-winning children's book, Fauja Singh Keeps Going, the true story of the oldest person to ever run a marathon. A practicing Sikh and a public intellectual, his new podcast, I encourage you to download wherever you can hear podcasts, Wisdom and Practice, explores humans' quest for meaning, drawing on different and various spiritual and religious traditions. Native of Texas, he did his PhD at Columbia University and is thrilled to be returning to Morningside Heights with his partner Gunisha and 2 lovely daughters, Jaya and Azadi, in his new capacity. So I invite Dr. Singh to come share some words with you.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I am thrilled. I'm not the most expressive person, but this is me thrilled. I was thinking about today and the beginning of this semester, and I was thinking about my childhood and wondering if I could ever imagine as a Sikh boy growing up in Texas teaching at a seminary. And the answer was no. And that was reinforced as I talked to some of my friends over the past few months and told them I was coming to teach at a seminary. And they said, "What are you doing?" and they found it so strange, and they were so confused. And I realized that they don't know what you and I know, which is that this is a place where faith and justice meet. And in my tradition, we are taught that each individual is to aspire to become a Sant Sipai, a saint and a warrior. It's this idea that each of us, as we are cultivating our interior selves, we're also serving the world around us. And that is what makes me feel like Union is home. And at the same time, throughout the summer, over the past year, as I've watched the world on fire, I've realized it's actually hard to understand what it means to be somebody who tries to live as a saint and as a warrior. It's not always clear, it's not always easy, and my intention coming into this community was to try and have some better, clearer vision of what that would mean for me. And the best I've come up with so far draws from this liturgical text that Sikhs around the world sing every morning. And the portion of it that I want to share with you, it's become a compass for me over the past several months. Aap gavaye, seva kare, ta kich paye maan, nanak jisno lagge, tis mile, lagga so parvan. Let yourself go and then serve. In forgetting yourself, serve. And that's how you find joy. That's how you find honor. That's how you find satisfaction. And the one, Nanak says, the one who becomes attached to this, they're the ones who find happiness. And I keep reflecting on these ideas. It feels so easy to become self-righteous. When you care so much about the world, it feels so easy to take that suffering and make it about yourself. But what if we let ourselves go? What if we don't make it about ourselves and let the ego fall? The outcome, our experience of it could be very different. And very close to this line in the text, there's another one that I want to share with you. Sev kiti santokhi jini sacho sach deyaya. Who are the people who find satisfaction through service? Not everyone. A lot of us are active, activated, activists. Not all of us are finding happiness. How do we do that? In our teaching, our wisdom is Sev kiti santokhi jini sacho sach deyaya. The people who find happiness in their service are the ones who are dwelling on the truth. And in our tradition, truth is what it means in English. It's permanence, it's righteousness, it's justice, it's all the good stuff. And also, it's a synonym for the divine. And to me, what that says is spiritual connection is what guides us to find joy in our service. And service is what guides us to find spiritual connection in our joy. They go hand in hand. This is what it means to me to say a saint and a warrior. So this is my intention coming into this community, that I may be somebody who can let myself go in service of others. And as I think about what we are all aspiring to do with our lives, I wanted to offer that message for you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Now I'm delighted to introduce you to Dr. Christopher Gillet, the Assistant Professor of Reformation and Early Modern Histories. Dr. Gillet comes to us from the University of Scranton, where he has taught since 2018. He also taught at Brown University, where he earned his PhD. He's the author of several essays about Catholicism during the mid-17th century political crises of the English world. His current book project explores how Catholics of various ethnicities try to navigate England's system of anti-Catholic laws in the 17th century. Born in the London borough of Croydon, he spent his youth in Kansas and New Jersey. When he's not, yes, New Jersey, call out for New Jersey. When he's not in the archives researching, he is cheering on his beloved football team, that's soccer to us, Crystal Palace Football Club. Dr. Gillet joins a Union community with his wife, Alexandra, and his son, Philip, or Pip. Welcome.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. The hat is in aid of a reference I'm about to make. Otherwise, I would not be wearing it because it's very hot. When I was an undergraduate, I triple majored in history, political science, and a single major that was called journalism and media studies, because I was a massive nerd. And the first two of those subjects were ones that I was passionate about. And the last was an attempt to ensure that I could get a real job when I graduated. As you can tell, that plan went really well. And here I am, some 15 years later, still in school, dressed for all the world like a 17th century ecclesiastical cosplayer. I share that context because one thing I learned in my journalistic training was the importance of brevity. At my completely secular institution, it was a surprise when one of my professors taught us a prayer. He claimed that readers prayed every time they encounter a piece of news writing. Please God, let it be good. And if not, please God, let it be short. And I promise to fulfill at least one of those criteria here today. So if my experience can teach you anything, perhaps it's that our best laid plans sometimes come to nothing, and we find ourselves having to adapt to the unforeseen. I imagine some of you at least are familiar with the old homiletic chestnut, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. But even in a less religious sense, right, we all operate and respond to events and have to make choices with imperfect or incomplete information. As an example of this, when my wife and I first discovered that she was expecting our son Pip, we had never even heard the term COVID. By the time Pip was born in June of 2020, the hospital had me spend the first 6 hours of my wife's labor waiting in the car. I was later allowed in for delivery, thank God. We're also not anticipating the medical condition our son was born with, or the 16 days he had to spend in the NICU. But even if we do realize our plans, there's no assurance that their completion will fulfill us in the ways that we hope that they will. I'd like to relate a story that I think sort of illustrates this. In the 16th century, a young Roman approached a noted priest called Philip Neri and told him he was planning to attend law school. Can you imagine? Neri simply responded with a question, "And then what?" And the young man had seemingly not thought much about this. And with each successive iteration of Neri's question, "And then what?" the young man was forced to be a bit more honest about his own desires. He would become a lawyer, then he'd become rich and famous, and then he would marry and live a comfortable, long life. And when Neri asked again, "And then what?" the young Roman responded, "Then, like everybody else, I shall die, and await to learn what judgment will come upon me." What I take from this story are the potential pitfalls of an unexamined life and the seductiveness of unthinkingly pursuing our own personal advancement. The young Roman hadn't necessarily thought things through or really been honest with himself about what his motives were. And through this kind of almost Socratic back and forth between him and Neri, the young man came to a better understanding of himself. And examining your own lives, your own assumptions, is part of what an education at Union provides. History plays a particular role in that. We are all historical beings, whether we like it or not. Our experiences shape us, and the collective experiences of the communities and cultures to which we belong and with which we interact shape our lives and encounters with each other. So the content of what we learn in history helps us understand ourselves and the world in which we live better. It can help us think about the present, and by exploring past experiments, failed and successful, it can help us imagine new futures. But the academic study of history can also help us generate the skill of empathy, of making the conscious, intellectual effort to understand an issue from the perspective of another person. There's an old expression that the past is a foreign country. While we may share certain cultural experiences with our ancestors, in other ways, we are utterly dissimilar to them. Trying to understand why they thought the way they did and made the choices they made does not always come naturally. It's a skill we have to develop and practice, but it is one that has application to many different dimensions of our lives outside of the classroom and outside of the study of history. I hope it's clear that we can distinguish here between empathy and sympathy in a historical context. I'm not suggesting at all that we need accept, or even on an emotional level, respect the attitudes that we encounter in the past. Frankly, when you think of some of them, how could we? But academic history isn't necessarily an act of commemoration, or of remembrance, or of honoring. It is an act of examination. So one of my hopes for your time here at Union is that you will in some ways deepen these constellation of skills, right? That through the skills you're taught here, you come to understand yourselves, your neighbors, and your cultures better, and that you develop and put into practice the skill of empathy in the classroom, in our campus, and in the world. Godspeed.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fiona Harvey, and I'm the Assistant Director of Student Wellness. So just take a moment to greet the person next to you, behind you. Yeah. Maybe a new face, an old one. Wonderful, wonderful. Just a moment of human connection. We're all here, we're all in this together. So as you can see in your program, I'm talking about daily affirmations. So to affirm something, to affirm ourselves at the start of each day. Or you may find out that it's better to affirm yourself at the end of the day, no matter how your day has gone. So think about different statements. I don't know if you were able to get a pen and a paper that we had at the front, but if not, at the end, you'll be able to grab one. And just think of this. When you affirm yourself, I am blank. I am blank. I am worthy of blank. I deserve blank. So for example, we have a variety of people in this room, students, faculty, staff. Think about your role and think about what you need. So maybe you may think to yourself, I am worthy of peace. I deserve love. I value community. And you can start this in the morning, just 3 statements, and set an intention for your day. So when you think of yourself, I am what? Does anybody want to share one? I am love. Thank you. I am strong. And I am learning. Yes. I am blessed. That was another one. Sometimes it's hard to find the encouragement in the start of your day. So today you can say, today I will blank. Today I will give myself grace. Today I will take a pause and reflect. So that's all I want to share with you all today. Set an affirmation, set that intention. Doesn't have to be complicated. Thank you.
Our third introduction of our new faculty member is the Reverend Dr. Willie Dwayne Francois III. He's an associate professor of theology and the director of the Master of Professional Studies program, which, as President Jones has mentioned, is offered inside 2 correctional facilities, the Singh, which is the men's maximum security prison, and Bedford Hills, the women's maximum security prison in New York State. And as President Jones mentioned too, that we will be referring to them in other campuses that are Northern Campus, as they're part of our community. He also directs the doctorate ministry program with Professor Samuel Cruz. And while these 2 programs, the MPS and the DMIN, are new to Union, they are an important legacy program of New York Theological Seminary. An activist and public theologian, Dr. Francois' upcoming book is entitled Outing Blue Privilege, A Call for Public Love When Public Safety is Not Enough. Dr. Francois' pastoral activism takes shapes around racial equality, economic justice, and criminal justice reform. He serves as a commissioner of the Martin Luther King Jr. Commission of the New Jersey State Department and is a national co-chair of the Social Justice Commission of the Progressive National Baptist Convention. He serves, in his spare time, as a senior pastor at Fountain Baptist Church of Summit, New Jersey. He has degrees from Morehouse College, Harvard University, and Emory University. Dr. Francois joins the Union community with his wife, Delija, and their children, Willie IV and Jordan Amelia. Welcome.
When I consider the circuitous path that has arrived me at this podium today, it is hard not to approach it with an admixture of excitement to be a part of such a vibrant learning community and community of practice, but also grief. For I am here as another reminder that the school where I served for almost 4 years no longer exists in the way that so many alums, so many faculty persons, so many community members here in the city of New York and the vicinity know it, knew it, and remember it. I come to this community, yes, with deep excitement, but also with a sense of survivor's remorse. Colleagues who no longer have jobs, students who are still trying to figure out what their teach-out agreement will be at one institution or the other. Survivor's remorse brings me to this moment today. Two stories, I guess. One, what gets me here is that NYTS did not make it, and for whatever reason, Dr. Walren and her co-conspiring with President Jones thought I would be a solid fit to make the bridge between there and now. Survivor's remorse. But I get to spend so much of my week behind bars and steel walls and barbed wire at maximum security prisons. That's so much a part of my vocation, my tripartite vocation as pastor, activist, and public intellectual. But it's also a survivor's remorse story that even draws me into that work. I spend so much of my time thinking theologically about the carceral state, about how it is shaped and driven by racial capitalism, how it is a tool of social control that makes many of us feel safe when really safety is so much a myth in this country. Survivor's remorse because I remember the day I heard that Cody, my older cousin, Titus, my older cousin, and Delmas, my older cousin, met their day with our justice, our legal system. I remember the day I was a junior at Morehouse College. Really, the only other place that looks like Morehouse College is a prison in this country. I'm sitting in my room in Morehouse College. My mother calls me to tell me that Cody has just been sentenced to 10 years. My grandmother calls me later that day to tell me that Titus was sentenced to 18 months. And then later the following week, my mother called me to tell me that Delmas had been gunned down by Louisiana police officers. I'm grappling with the conundrum, the quandary of how is it that I made it to Morehouse and Cody and Titus are going to prison and Delmas is going to the grave. Same upbringing, same churches, same family imprint, same commitment to the God that I thought trafficked me to Morehouse. But somehow I get to go to college and they go to prison and they go to the grave. I couldn't make sense of it. It was a deep sense of dissonance that I didn't know how to piece together, because what's so special about me that I get to go to college and they go to prison? And it was not until later that year that I read the book that everyone knows now, whose author is with us today, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. That was a salvation moment for me. It was a conversion moment for me. It was the moment where I stopped taking for granted that these systems that claim to be in the benefit of the public are actually in the benefit of the full public, but maybe only in the benefit of a very small, curated public. A public that is moneyed, a public that can live deeply into its patriarchy without fear of any backlash, a public that does not have to care about how people do time as long as they do time outside of our gaze, outside of our vision. And so I do the work I do because Cody can't do that work. I do the work I do because Delmas cannot do any work. I do the work I do because Titus was snatched out of his family, not able to make a living for his family for nonsensical reasons. And so I'm here today because one of my cousins got 10 years, one got 18 months, and another landed in the grave. But now I get to journey with brothers and sisters who are using education as a way of reasserting their humanity in contexts that are made to be death zones. All metaphors break down, but we often call prisons warehouses. But what I've learned is that we treat products in warehouses better than we treat people in prisons. And so the work that we get to do as a union community, as people who are living under a new form of slavery by another name, however we would want to think about it, literally working for free, being exploited of their labor, having their energies extracted from them, literally a type of slavery that is legal under the 13th Amendment. But when we go to class and we read Baldwin or Foucault or Tillich, or we read Dolores Williams for just a moment, they get to have what my ancestors had in the middle of slavery: a brush harbor outside of the gaze of carcerality, a brush harbor outside of the reach of COs and administrators, a brush harbor just beyond the violence that may be waiting for them when they get back to their cells. So that's what we get to co-create together with our siblings at Sing in Bedford Hill. Just a sliver of Brush Harbor where people can breathe and love their unchained hands and their unbeaten backs.
I can't even sing after that. Breathe in, breathe out, sing with me. Breathe in, breathe out, everybody. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
May we build communities where every voice is heard, every story is honored, and every soul is cherished.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
May we learn to honor the personal and cultural history behind the words we use, knowing that there are human lives between syllables and syllabuses.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
May we cultivate the courage to speak the truth with kindness, even when it feels hesitant on our lips.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
May we have the courage to trust, even knowing how frail human promises can be.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
May we have the wisdom and patience for self-reflection, allowing our questions to nurture both our individual and collective flourishing.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
May we learn to know when to fight through resistance and when to slow our pace in humility and wisdom.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
May we honor the legacy of our ancestors while paving a path of justice and love for future generations.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
May we never sacrifice our health and wholeness on the altar of productivity. Let our work be rooted in our full humanity and grace.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out,
I want to begin the benediction by saying that I love my colleagues. And I say that because we are very different people, very different traditions, very different backgrounds, very different perspectives. And we disagree, but we live together, many of us, we work together, many of us live together, and we very imperfectly do our best to care for each other. And yet, for me, I choose to love them because I believe in my bones that even if it is given freely, we have to choose love and community ourselves, each of us. And I say that to you because I want to invite you into that world, into that choice. That we choose love and community because it will be the same for you. You will differ dramatically. And it is so easy in those differences, especially when we're committed to issues of justice, to forget that everybody comes to this community with a cut heart. It does not matter where they are from. It doesn't matter what has happened. Everyone comes here with a cut heart, and from that cut, wisdom has come. And there is something to learn. So, it's important to commit to keeping an open mind and heart that allows us to learn from that undiscovered wisdom that are in other people that will surprise us, that will come up in front of us in ways that give us something that heals this world in ways we don't yet understand for ourselves. And so while we're here at Union, it can be very difficult. There's a lot of pressure. It's a difficult world at the moment. Not that it isn't always, but that we lean into our faith traditions and life ways that support the capacities that we require to metabolize the pain and the injustice and the sorrow that is this world, so that we neither collapse nor react compulsive wisdom. We can meet this world. That we remember that our efforts are after a long line of people who came before us. And that we remember that ancestry in a way that sincerely and thoroughly humbles us. That we know that this community we call Union Theological Seminary can be a force of love, justice, and peace building in a nation that so direly needs a new moral vision and direction. You are here to learn. You are here to study, to absorb new and old ideas, to embrace, critique, and imagine things previously unimaginable. Out of the energies of this learning comes the moral imagination and potential for social transformation that are the hallmarks of this school. Please do not let anything get in the way of embracing the sacred gift of this education and this community together. So while you are here entering class of 2024, please devote yourself to the hard work of sincere and courageous study, to listening deeply to those who challenge you, to analytical nuance, to cultivating a heart open to many views, to just relationship with each other, and to the hardest work of all that paradoxically is the truest nature of who we are, and that is love itself. Do this with your whole hearts, and you will not just leave here with a degree. You will leave here a community of learned lovers of humanity and peace builders with the capacity and vision to transform a nation, and through you, a future will be made possible. So may each of you go forth blessed with the love, strength, wisdom, courage, health, and ease to manifest the full potential of your time at Union and of the precious life you now live. Thank you, and go with love.
We are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching. We are marching. Oh, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching. We are marching. Oh, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, we are marching, ooh, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, we are marching, ooh, we are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching, we are marching, ooh, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, we are marching, ooh, we are marching in the light of God.